next day, the Fat Controller was very cross. The post train was still missing, Thomas hadn't been working on his branch line, Spencer was at the Sodor Steamworks, and the summer house was nowhere near being finished. Thomas apologised and promised that he would do his best to find them the next day, and get things back on track again. The next day, Toby and James were with Hiro. Spencer was nearby looking for clues about Thomas. Then, Toby and James heard a noise. It was Spencer. "I found the post train!" They knew they had to help Hiro, so they rushed out of the hiding place and chased Spencer right up the line. Up ahead, Thomas could see what was going on, so he rushed out in front of Spencer, and now he was blocked. The engines escorted Spencer to the Fat Controller. The Fat Controller was cross, and he thought that Spencer had stolen the post train, and he ordered that they were returned to Percy right away. Spencer was cross. He wanted revenge on Thomas now. Finally, the last part was fitted to Hiro. He was very happy, and so was Thomas. "I feel splendid, Thomas," said Hiro. Suddenly they heard a noise.
"Oh no, it's Spencer! How did he find us?"
cried Thomas.
"Let's go!"
Slowly but surely, Hiro clanked away. Thomas and Hiro puffed out of the siding and onto the main line. Hiro's parts clanked and rattled, but he carried on. Suddenly, Spencer caught up with them. "Who are you?" exclaimed Spencer.
"Hiro!"
Suddenly, Spencer's post train became uncoupled, cried Thomas. Suddenly, Hiro's parts began to fly off. "No!" cried Hiro. But it was too late. He came to a standstill. "Is this what you've been doing, Thomas? Building a heap of scrap for the smelter's yard?"
"No, be quiet,"
said Thomas crossly, but he knew that Spencer was right. Thomas didn't know what to do. Now that Spencer knew, he'd go and tell the Fat Controller, and Hiro was sure to be scrapped. Suddenly, Thomas heard another whistle. It was Gordon. "Want a race, Slow Coach Spencer?" heaped Gordon. "Me? Slow? Ha!" Suddenly, Thomas spotted something. It was another siding, covered with trees.
"Look over there. You can stay there now. No one will find you there,"
he said. But Hiro was worried. Now that Spencer knew about him, he could tell the Fat Controller, and he was sure to be scrapped.
"I'll come back tomorrow, I promise,"
said Thomas, and puffed away. Gordon arrived at Maithwaite, followed by Spencer. "I won," said Gordon proudly. Spencer was annoyed. Then he noticed, there on the platform was the Duke and Duchess. "Spencer, what have you been doing? The summer house is not complete. The Fat Controller has told us everything," they said crossly. Spencer was embarrassed. Then Thomas puffed into the station, pulling the post train that Spencer had left behind.
"Hello, may I help? I could work on the summer house as well. Then we'd be sure to both finish it on time."
"Very good idea, Thomas," said the Duke and Duchess. That night at the engine sheds, all the engines were worried about Hiro. Then Thomas had an idea.
We all tried our best, but it didn't work. We have no other choice. Tomorrow I will tell the Fat Controller. I'll work with Spencer on the summer house. The Fat Controller will be proud and he will hopefully help us restore Hiro. We mustn't give up."
The engines weren't sure, but they couldn't think of anything else to do. For the next few days, Thomas helped Spencer to build the summer house. At last the summer house was finished. "Thank you, it's wonderful. We'll be returning in a few days to begin our holiday," said the Duke and Duchess. Thomas was happy.
It was nothing. I was happy to be of service. Well, busy schedule, better be on my way. Goodbye,"
he said, and puffed quickly away. Spencer looked cross. "You're going to tell the Fat Controller about that silly scrap engine. Well, I'll get there first and make sure he's sent to the smelter's yard, where he belongs," he said. Thomas puffed away as quickly as he could. Spencer followed behind him. But as quickly as he tried to go, he couldn't catch up with Thomas. Thomas could notice a junction up ahead. As he puffed down his line, he quickly switched onto it and vanished. Spencer screeched to a halt and reversed. But the track was old. As Spencer rattled over it, it creaked beneath his wheels. Suddenly, it gave way.
Whoa!
And Spencer crashed down into the marshy water below.
Oh, I'm sorry, Spencer. I forgot how old this line was. I'll get help at the next station, I promise.
And Thomas steamed on. Thomas arrived at the nearest station and asked the station master if he could telephone the Fat Controller. The Fat Controller was having dinner with the Duke and Duchess, but when he heard the news, and when he heard it was urgent, he came straight away. Thomas was worried. He was now going to have to tell the Fat Controller everything about Hiro.
Well, I found an engine. A very, very old engine. In fact, the oldest engine on Sodor. But he's so far away from home, and he's now rusty and needs new parts. I didn't tell you because I thought you'd send him to the smelter's yard. Oh, sir, please help him, please. He's called Hiro.
Hiro? Said the Fat Controller. Why do you think I'd scrap the master of the railway? Victor will make him new again. Thomas was so happy. Then he remembered.
Oh, I almost forgot. Spencer, he's stuck. He puffed over an old piece of track, and now he's stranded. He needs help.
We told Spencer not to leave the summer house, so he can wait his turn, they said firmly. The next day, Thomas took Hiro to the Sodor steamworks. It took a long time, but at last, Hiro was as good as new. Welcome back, master of the railway, said the Fat Controller proudly. Oh, thank you, sir, said Hiro. Then, the Fat Controller turned to Thomas. Now, go and help Spencer, Thomas.
Of course, I'll set off straight away, sir,
said Thomas cheerily, and brought Hiro with him. They then reached Spencer. What? You can't pull me out? You're not strong enough, said Spencer.
Oh yes, of course I won't. Well, it's lucky I brought someone else with me then, isn't it?
Replied Thomas. And then Hiro puffed into sight. Wait, are you that scrap engine? I was that scrap engine, replied Hiro. Soon Spencer was back on the rails again. Once Spencer had finished being repaired, the Duke and Duchess arrived for their holiday. They were very happy with their new summer house. That night, Thomas, Spencer and Hiro were all together. But Hiro looked sad. I'm so happy that you fixed me, but now I want to go home, he said.
Oh, I understand, Hiro,
replied Thomas. Suddenly, Thomas had an idea.
Oh, I know.
He quickly puffed away to find the Fat Controller. When he found the Fat Controller, he explained to him.
Please, sir, I need your help. Hiro's ever so happy that he's been repaired and restored, but he wants to go home. He hasn't been to his home for many years. Please, help, sir.
Of course, I'll make arrangements for a boat to Japan right away, replied the Fat Controller. A few days later, all the engines were at Brendam Docks. All the engines whistled. Then there was one long and low whistle. It was Hiro. Hiro puffed slowly up to Thomas and Percy.
Oh, it's time for you to go home now, Hiro.
I know, Thomas. Maybe you can come and visit us again one day. Maybe, Percy.
And remember, you'll always have a home here on Sodor as well.
I know. Thank you.